Hello, and the warmest of welcomes to each and every one of you. It is an absolute pleasure to have you here with me today. Before we begin our journey to a truly special corner of the world, I want to take a sincere moment to send my very best wishes your way. Wherever you are, whatever you are doing, I genuinely hope you are feeling peaceful, happy, and in the very best of health. May you and your loved ones always be blessed with wellness, contentment, and a deep sense of joy. Thank you for choosing to spend this time with me. Now, let's travel together to a place that challenges everything we thought we knew about what makes a country successful, a place where the mountains are high, the air is pure, and the national goal is not wealth, but happiness. Imagine for a moment that you are the leader of a country. How would you measure your nation's progress? How would you define success? For nearly every nation on Earth, the answer to that question is found in a number called the Gross Domestic Product, or GDP. It is a calculation of all the goods and services a country produces in a year. It is about economic growth, pure and simple. A rising GDP means the country is considered successful. A falling GDP means trouble. But what if this number, for all its importance, is missing the point? What if a country could be economically poorer, but immeasurably richer in the things that truly matter? There is one nation on this planet that asked this very question and dared to do things differently. Nestled high in the Himalayas, between the giants of India and China, is the small, mystical kingdom of Bhutan. And in Bhutan, success is not measured by gross domestic product. It is measured by gross national happiness. This is not just a cute slogan or a marketing tagline for tourists. It is a genuine, official, and deeply philosophical guiding principle for the entire nation. It is a revolutionary idea that the well-being of the people, their spiritual and emotional health, and the preservation of their culture and environment are more important than any economic statistic. This concept is Bhutan's gift to the world, a profound and beautiful alternative vision of what a society can be. The story of gross national happiness begins with a young king. His name was His Majesty Jigme Sinji Wangchuk, the fourth king of Bhutan. He was only 16 years old when he ascended to the throne in 1972. In these early years of his reign, as Bhutan was just beginning to open its doors very cautiously to the outside world, he was constantly asked by foreign journalists and economists about his country's GDP and its plans for economic growth. His response, quiet and wise, would eventually echo around the globe. He simply stated that gross national happiness is more important than gross domestic product. At the time, it was a startling thing to say. The world was, and still is, obsessed with material growth and financial metrics. But for this young king, raised with Buddhist values that emphasize compassion, mindfulness, and the impermanence of material things, the true development of his nation had to be about the happiness and well-being of his people. He understood that economic growth could actually destroy the very things that made Bhutan unique and its people content: their pristine environment, their ancient culture, their strong communities, and their spiritual peace. So, he planted the seed of this idea, and over the decades, it grew from a philosophical concept into a practical, working policy that guides the Bhutanese government to this day. But what does happiness actually mean in this context? It is crucial to understand that gross national happiness is not about forcing people to be happy or about some kind of constant, euphoric state of mind. That is impossible. Instead, it is about creating the right conditions for people to lead fulfilling, meaningful lives. It is about balance. The Bhutanese government officially defines this through a sophisticated framework built upon 4 pillars and 9 domains. These are the essential areas of life that must be nurtured and balanced for holistic well-being. The 4 pillars are the broad philosophical foundations. The first is sustainable and equitable socio-economic development. This means that economic growth is still important. People need jobs, healthcare, and education, but it must happen in a way that benefits everyone fairly and does not come at the cost of the other pillars. It is about responsible growth. The second pillar is conservation of the environment. For the Bhutanese, the environment is not a resource to be exploited. It is sacred. They believe that well-being is deeply connected to the health of the natural world. The third pillar is preservation and promotion of culture. Bhutan possesses a unique and vibrant cultural heritage, from its language and literature to its traditional arts, architecture, and religious festivals. This pillar ensures that in the rush toward modernization, these precious traditions are not lost, but are instead strengthened. The fourth pillar is good governance. This emphasizes that for people to be happy, they must have trust in their leaders. The government must be transparent, accountable, and effective in serving the needs of the people. These four pillars are then broken down into 9 specific domains, which are like the practical, measurable components of happiness. Think of them as the different ingredients that, when combined, create a complete and fulfilling life. The first domain is psychological well-being. This includes measures of life satisfaction, spirituality, mindfulness, and the prevalence of positive emotions like compassion and generosity over negative ones like jealousy, anger, and fear. The second domain is health. This measures not just the absence of disease, but the overall physical and mental health of the population, including access to free healthcare. The third domain is time use. This is a fascinating one. It looks at the balance between work, sleep, and leisure. Do people have enough time for their families, for rest, and for hobbies? Or are they overworked and stressed? The fourth domain is education. This measures not just literacy rates, but the quality of education and whether it is teaching values that contribute to a good society. The fifth domain is cultural diversity and resilience. This tracks the strength of cultural traditions, community festivals, and the use of the national language. The sixth domain is good governance, directly from the pillar, measuring people's trust in their government and their participation in political processes. The seventh domain is community vitality. This is about the strength of relationships. It measures how strong families are, how much people volunteer, and how safe they feel in their neighborhoods. It is about social support. The eighth domain is ecological diversity and resilience. This measures the health of forests, the cleanliness of water and air, and the commitment to conservation. The ninth and final domain is living standards. This looks at income, assets, and housing quality. The material well-being that supports all the other domains. So, how does a government actually measure something as seemingly intangible as happiness? This was the great challenge. You cannot measure happiness with a simple blood test or a bank statement. In the early 2000s, Bhutan's Center for Bhutan Studies and GNH developed an extensive survey to do just that. It is a detailed questionnaire that is given to thousands of Bhutanese citizens across the country. The questions cover all 9 domains, asking people about their daily lives, their fears, their hopes, their spiritual practices, their family time, and their trust in institutions. The answers are then compiled to create a GNH index for the nation. But the most revolutionary part is how the results are used. The data is broken down by district and village. This means the government can see, for example, that people in a particular remote village are unhappy because they lack a road for getting their goods to market, or that people in an urban area are stressed because of a lack of green spaces. The government then uses this data to shape its policies and budget. If the data shows community vitality is weakening, they might invest in community centers. If psychological well-being is low, they might train more counselors. This makes gross national happiness an incredibly practical tool for governance, ensuring that policies are directly targeted at improving the real, day-to-day lives of citizens. This philosophy has led to some truly remarkable policies that seem unbelievable to the outside world. The most famous is Bhutan's constitutional commitment to remain forever carbon neutral. Their constitution mandates that at least 60% of the country must remain under forest cover for all time. In reality, they have far exceeded this. Over 70% of Bhutan is covered in lush, pristine forests. Furthermore, Bhutan is not just carbon neutral, it is carbon negative. This means its vast forests absorb more carbon dioxide from the atmosphere than the entire country produces from its cars, factories, and homes. They are a net sink for carbon, effectively cleaning the air for the rest of the planet. This is a stunning gift to the world, born directly from the gross national happiness principle of environmental conservation. They have also placed strict limits on tourism to protect their culture and environment from being overrun, choosing a high-value, low-impact model instead of mass tourism. Their development is careful and considered. They were one of the last countries in the world to introduce television and the internet, doing so only in 1999 because they wanted to ensure they had the social and cultural resilience to handle its impact. Every decision is filtered through the question: will this increase the gross national happiness of our people? Of course, Bhutan is not a perfect utopia. It faces very real challenges. Youth unemployment is a concern, especially as more young people, educated and connected to the world, move to cities seeking modern jobs. This urbanization can strain the traditional community structures that are so vital to GNH. There are also challenges with managing the balance between preserving ancient traditions and allowing for the personal freedoms and modern aspirations of a new generation. The pursuit of GNH is a constant, evolving practice, not a fixed destination. But what is so inspiring is that the entire national conversation is framed around these deeper questions of well-being, not just quarterly economic reports. The goal is always to find a balanced path forward. The concept of gross national happiness has resonated deeply around the world. In an era of rising anxiety, loneliness, and environmental crisis, Bhutan's alternative model offers a beacon of hope. The United Nations has adopted resolutions encouraging member states to look beyond GDP and measure well-being. Other countries, from Scotland to New Zealand, have begun developing their own well-being budgets and indexes, inspired by Bhutan's example. Gross national happiness speaks to a universal human longing for a life that is not just prosperous, but purposeful. It reminds us that true development is about more than just having more stuff. It is about being more connected to our community, more in harmony with nature, more at peace with ourselves. It is a powerful invitation for all of us, no matter where we live, to reconsider our own personal metrics for success. Are we measuring our lives by our salary and our possessions? Or are we nurturing our health, our relationships, our connection to nature, and our inner peace? The kingdom in the clouds, guided by the wisdom of a young king, challenges us all to build a life and a world that is truly rich. Thank you for watching, and may your own journey be filled with genuine happiness and meaning.